Alright Bonehawks, this video is all about Quan, and today we are talking Standing 4. One of the better moves in the game, in my opinion. It is very, very strong, especially when you pair it with Quan Chi's overall game plan. It mixes really well with what he wants to do, so we're going to give some examples of what you can do with it, how you can use it with cameos and just regular moves and all that kind of stuff. So, that being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
So one of the main things that this move can do that makes it different than some other moves in the game is because it's 12 frames, it's 12 frames from literally anywhere that it can spawn on the map. And it can go either on the ground or in the air, so that offers some interesting options against certain characters. But one thing that it does do is give us some easier punishes on certain situations. One, for example, is Garrus's overhead attack. So Garrus can do this at spaces that can sometimes make it pretty safe or a little awkward to punish his overhead. So that's where Standing 4 comes in handy, to kind of close that distance and punish him for it. You can do something like that, or you could do, if you're feeling risky, into the tentacles, spend some meter. So it allows for some easy punishes on things that otherwise might not be easy punishes, or in situations where a punish would have to be extremely tight. If you have the means to do so, or depending on where your opponent is health-wise, you can just throw a quick little Standing 4 into whatever, and this will kind of depend on what you want to do. Like I said before, you could use the tentacle. Keep in mind that takes 2 bars of meter to combo, but if it's right at the end of the match, it might be worth it because you don't need meter if the match is over, right? So that's an idea. If you want to keep them full screen and keep some hit advantage, you can give up a little bit of damage and do the Standing 4 into the Bone Dome. And that's 98 damage with 60 active frames. So that will allow you to pull out a portal for free and start zoning if that's kind of what you want to do. If you don't really care about positioning as much, you can do the Standing 4 into the Sky Drop for damage. So 155, 50. So there's all sorts of different possibilities of how you can actually use this move. I will say be careful though, because this isn't the best at tracking moving opponents. So you really do want to try and catch somebody pressing a button. This is why you don't see me doing Standing 4 Sky Drop into this very often, unless it's on reaction. Because I don't want this to whiff, or I don't want the opponent to block it, and then I'm sky dropping right in their face because they've blocked my Standing 4. I'd much rather do this, which is much safer on block given the spacing and all that kind of stuff, than, you know, just hard committing into sky drop. But if you have the read, make the read, go for it, because yeah, it's something that's damage, you know. 155 from full screen, that's nothing to shake your dick at. So one thing that I find really useful, especially in the Johnny Cage matchup, is Standing 4 into Enhanced Bone Dome, because this will stop Johnny Cage from shadow kicking you, which basically, if you knock Cage full screen, 99% of them are probably just going to shadow kick their way in, which is very annoying. So if you hit them with this, it keeps them in place, and you can at least get a little bit of zoning out before they're able to go anywhere. And then depending on the meter, you could try and hit them with the same thing again. The unfortunate thing is it's not very hit confirmable, again, similar to the Sky Drop. Although you will be safe, you could lose a bar of meter by making the wrong read on this. So just keep that in mind when you use this particular move in this particular way. So this is an example of a really fun one, is Omni-Man. So if you ever played one, it's funny when you can see that they haven't really played a Quan before and they're just standing there trying to flex on you with their Viltrumite stance. And then you're just like, nope, not happening. Standing 4 into whatever you want to do. It's kind of an easy punish, and there's so much startup on the Viltrumite stance that sometimes, even if they know that it's coming, they're going to try and skirt it, and you can still react and nope, do whatever you want. And then they're like, well, haha, Uno reverse card, I'll just do it in the air, and you're like, haha, nope, kick you out of the air because it tracks. So that's kind of fun when you. And then you see them start to panic a bit, and that's when they start throwing out some unsafe stuff. It really is funny. Or they go for the call the ambulance but not for me card. Oh no! Enhanced Viltrumite stance? Whatever will I do Standing 4? Get fucked. And he's also got some really cool stuff he can do with cameos. So for Mataro, for example, you can get a combo off the Standing 4 Bone Dome full screen, and this is actually pretty easy to hit confirm, because as soon as you see the Standing 4 hit, you know that the Bone Dome is going to connect, and you can use Mataro to teleport you. get a full combo, 311 damage, no meter whatsoever. Just, well, 1 meter of cameo. But look at that, he's almost back by the time we're done our combo. I talked a little bit there too, but... So yeah, that's pretty cool. I have yet to kind of experiment a little bit too much with different combo paths, but it's a cool option. And given that Motaro is actually kind of a good cameo for him to begin with, especially against characters that want to counter zone him, like Reiko or Tanya, giving the low fireball and then the reflect on top of that, where I can just stand behind that and just throw my own projectiles. This is actually not a bad one, and reflect comes back fairly fast, so I actually might try out this cameo for a little bit and give Sony a bit of a break and see what I can kind of find. So, by the way, Bone Dome will also, or sorry, Standing 4 will also combo into this, but your opponent's probably just going to be standing there waiting to block it anyways, so you're better to just follow it up with some sort of other projectile or something. But if you ever need to do that for whatever reason, that information is there for you. You can also use this defensively as well, and this is where I really think that this move goes well with Quan Chi's zoning. So, I don't know if you've ever played against somebody and they lose the first match and then they immediately run to Sub-Zero cameo. That happens to me constantly, and they're just like, okay, put on the armor and get in. You can wait and read for them to put this armor on, and then just completely ruin their day with Standing 4, hit them out of it, and then go back to your zone. You know, you do have to make the read on exactly when it's coming out, but just activated, now they lose their cameo, and they're still stuck full screen without anything to do. So I'm going to sprinkle just a small side note in here. I found this out recently. Every once in a while I'll play a Liu Kang that figures out that if they just spam the low fireball at me, it can be quite annoying, and it's hard for me to really get anything going. You can time blocking one of the low fireballs and then immediately countering with Big Chompy, and it will eat up the next fireball if they're just sitting there spamming the whole time. 382, and then bam. We're back to business. It's a barometer, but hey, it gets you out of a situation that they previously thought might have been good. Anyway, quick side note, thought it might be worth sharing. Similar to how we stuffed the Sub-Zero cameo, Tanya's one that I find whenever I knock a Tanya full screen, the first thing they do is wake up Enhanced Projectile and try and eat whatever zoning I might be throwing at them. You can play spoiler in this too if they're getting patterny and just kind of hit them out of there, and then they've lost a barometer, you still have the zoning advantage, and yeah, you're good to go, start throwing stuff again. They could try and do it again, I suppose, if you wanted to. But you can also do things like Standing 4 into Big Chompy, and that would cancel out their projectile even if they were to throw another one immediately, and then they've wasted 2 bars of meter, and you still have the zoning advantage. So these are the ideas and the ways that Standing 4 really is one of his best moves. Now, this is a scenario that I bait all the time, because in addition to being counterpicked by the Sub-Zero cameo, I also get counterpicked by Motaro cameo. So if I'm in a position where I get a combo, I knock them full screen, I will bait the Motaro with the Big Chompy, because they're going to be throwing out Motaro to try and throw it back. Put Big Chompy on slow, and then kick Motaro in the butt on the way back. Hopefully I do it quick enough that the Big Chompy doesn't come back, but sometimes it works out, and I just kick Motaro out of his reflect, and they eat my projectile anyways. That is always really fun. And because of the damage that Big Chompy does, even if it comes back and hits us, we get a little bit of an advantage. Not much. It's better if we can kick Motaro in the butt before it comes back, but always satisfying to see what they do when I kick Motaro out of his reflect. Sector can combo his teleport off of the Standing 4 from anywhere on screen. What you can do with that kind of varies depending on where you are. I was trying to use it more to set up a portal full screen because it's 77 hit advantage, so that's a free portal plus almost a free startup on whatever I want after that. If you're a little bit closer, you can combo using it. Back to full screen pressure, set up a sector missile or something like that afterwards. Pretty crazy pressure. Shujinkydink can combo all sorts of things from this move, some spacing required. Like against Scorpion, for example, we can get Standing 4 into Shujinkydink Sphere to combo, and into whatever combo you want to do afterwards. So that's kind of fun. Full screen punish if they decide to throw that out. Beware for the meter burn one. I always get hit by the meter burn one trying to duck. Serena is interesting because, like, Pretty much full screen, the single shot is kind of inconsistent, but if you're a little bit closer than full screen, it'll combo. 2 hits right there, and then she can combo her 4-hitting one, but you have to be pretty close. But, I mean, you get pretty good damage, but you're giving up your entire cameo bar, so that's something to keep in mind. But still really strong. Like 400 damage for Quan, that is really significant, especially if he's going into his zoning. So it's just the cooldown on Serena is unfortunately not the greatest. And everyone using Serena just kind of burned me out on the cameo off the release. Maybe it's just me. She's a really cool cameo, don't get me wrong, but just seeing her everywhere and how it just didn't seem very original, it just, I don't know, it turned me off of using it. But it is a very strong cameo with Quan and does wonders with standing 4. Side note, his enhanced tracking overhead down back 1 can combo into standing 4 sky drop for 242 damage, which is quite a bit of damage, especially for Quan, but it is a bar, I suppose. But for a tracking full screen overhead, that's pretty good. That's pretty good damage. If you want to stay zoning, you can do standing 4 into your portal. Oh, I missed it that time. Let's see if I can show you for artistic purposes. There we go. And then make up that extra damage with your projectiles. So that's a thing you could do. And that's really it. I just wanted to show off this move in case you haven't kind of put it in your arsenal yet. Show you what exactly you can do with it. Show you how powerful it is. How useful and just generally overall into his game plan it is. Especially if you're playing a keep away style of Quan Chi. I will say though that the tracking is not great. So try and catch your opponent in kind of a standstill press a button scenario. Because yeah, walking forward it tends to whiff quite a bit. And this is the definite downside to this move. And I think if they made the tracking on this move a little bit better, whereas you had to be careful about where you're kind of moving with it, I think this would be probably the best move in the game. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.